In front of explore, can we put develop a, and what was the words? I like 3 C's.
Charter.
Sorry?
A cooperative community charter.
Cooperative community charter. And, yeah, so it's both, because I think that you still have regulatory arrangements that need to be addressed, and I really like the idea of a brokerage so that they don't have to deal with all of the different departments themselves. Jimmy?
Regarding to the first paragraph, I raised 2 questions. First one, whether the staff will feedback to the council. Second, if yes, what is the time frame? First paragraph. Whether,
yes.
Because subject to the reprioritization.
Yeah, well, we've already heard from Mike. Mike's already said that if we want to reprioritise it, we will reprioritise it.
They will feedback to the
but
council.
But in terms of time frame,
okay.
We're hoping to come to you in the next month with the whole program. So we would take all of the stuff that comes out of the next 3 days, if there's any more of this.
Yep.
Add that in and show the trade-offs, and you can make a final decision at that point.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Any others? All right. Well, I think I'll just put that motion. Okay.
We're actually going to decide on tomorrow.
Eh?
Are we actually making a decision on them on Fridays, or are we going to decide on this?
No, we're doing the amendments as we go.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Carried. Excellent. Good work. How are we going? 10 to 3. Should we stop for afternoon tea? Yep.
I would like to flag the one around the coastal perimeter pathway.
Yeah.
I think that when Colin Merck and his group, and other groups too, came to us with that, it's a great idea, minimal cost, and the challenge for it though is the area around the ponds are in dire.
Can you just highlight which one it is? So
well, actually, I put it forward, and I don't know if it's in this big list.
No, it is.
Number 33. It's got a number 33 beside it somewhere.
It is, because I'm sure.
It's 2 under the yellow on your second to last page.
2 under the yellow. I haven't got any yellow on the second to last page. Oh, sorry.
3rd page.
3rd page. Oh, yep.
So this is, one of the most beautiful parts of the walkway when visitors say come to Christchurch, and it's really to make sure that in fact we don't hold back the launching of the perimeter walkway. Like there are clearly some obstacles with the plan in terms of traffic safety and those things, and I know that staff are addressing those, but probably the biggest challenge is this area around where the ponds are along Dyers Pass Road. The beauty of actually developing the walkway around the coast is that in fact it will link up the coastal pathway from Sumner right round through to Burwood Pegasus area along to the sand dunes there, Dave. So the whole coast. So it just seems to me that this will. The staff are clear too on what can go in. It is going to need a wildlife fence to protect the bird life there, and to have a safe. The track would need some construction. Another strength of this program is that Rotary, for example, are already involved in the perimeter pathway, and there are groups who are very keen to actually assist, say, for example, with the construction of the track. So I just think that $100,000 would be a really good investment there. I know it would have to come from another environmental area, but I just put that forward to for councillors' consideration.
I'm going to stop people at the end of the word Dyers Road, because I'm not going to accept without a separate debate allocations from the Land Drainage Recovery Program. So, but we can deal with that. Yeah, when we deal with that. So the staff advice on this is that the Estuary Edge project is due to have its detailed design completed over the next 18 months. So the allocation wouldn't need to be in this financial year coming, is that right?
I think to get it really going, we should look at getting it, at least, well, I think before the next annual plan, really.
But no, the reason I'm saying the Estuary Edge project is due to have its detailed design completed over the next 18 months. While funding of any perimeter fencing will be required, the figure identified would need to be tested and be part of a larger amount of capital funding required to implement the project. But they are fundraising for that project, so it's not something that they're asking the council to fully fund. And the allocation of $100,000, I'm not sure how that compares to what was actually sought.
Well,
but my real question is this, is that if their detailed design is not being completed for another 18 months, why can't we deal with this in the annual plan, but indicate that we want this considered as a priority? Because I think it's really important too. I mean, I think all of us were impressed with the quality of the work that's been done. We do want to make an allocation, but I don't know that we're in a position to do that right this second. It may be that we want to contribute more with all of the work actually done.
Well, I think the main thing is to get the best out of the project and as soon as possible. And I guess I had hoped that the design part could be brought forward from the 18 months. I know staff have got heaps to do, and some of that work's challenging. But this to me is I guess a priority for the area, and I'd rather we didn't have to wait.
Okay. Well, can we get an update? Is there whose area does this fit within?
Update on the process.
Yeah, I think we need to do more work on the costings to have more reliable figures.
But who's actually doing the detailed design, Jane?
It's been done by the City Parks and Reserves people. So Eric Banks is leading that project. That's been a project that's been underway for some time. So yeah, they are moving into detailed design. So I think the comment that Eric made when I was responding to this was that the figure, the $100,000 figure was very much a top of mind figure for the fencing, and there is no capital budget for this project yet at all. Right.
So we're actually going to have to look at this as part of the whole capital program, because it's actually going to require some serious money to be put on budget. Yeah. Yep.
I want to know what the issues were around the ponds, Phil. We did a walk there, actually, a bus tour last year, and it seemed that the walkway around the ponds was quite spectacular, believe it or not.
I think actually that I'm not a safety or traffic expert, as you know, Paul, but I think the issues are road safety, that the track would need to cross the Dyers Pass Road, and there are safety issues, and it's also a matter of really whether council can kind of like have be responsible for signage, for example, and apparently even walking along. Currently the ponds are fenced, and that's for safety reasons for the public too. So while it looks a good idea, in fact there were those issues had arisen.
In actual fact, some of the sewage pond area isn't fenced, and there's a concern about security with the ponds. Also, the notion that there's a lot of bird life that nest and move seasonally in and out of the pond areas, and there was some concern about sort of the separation between the pathway and sensible bird areas. So there are one or two issues there. I think most of it becomes a question of separation of the path and some of the sensitive areas of the sewage treatment.
Yeah, and it's ironic really, because the sewage treatment ponds, and they're beautiful, they're just, and I mean the number of tourists you see stopping there and taking photographs and things like that, it's just...
You know what they say about
best looking oxidation ponds in the world.
You know what
they need some observation points, I think, along the way that may be built in a manner that's not going to... Sort of
like a hide.
A hide, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a few considerations there with the operation of the sewage treatment ponds, security and wildlife.
Yeah, yeah.
So the estuary edge part is the preferred area, and there is a cost to that.
There is a possibility to link it the Woolston Walk as well, which is very, very close to.
No, sorry, people have got sidetracked onto a conversation. Thank you, Ellie.
I'm going to get a chopper guard flag. I was just going to, and I'm not being facetious or trying to be clever, but how many footpaths would $100,000 go towards helping? I mean, we're hearing about the issues in the east, we're hearing about prioritising. I don't want to soapbox on it, but it does beg the question, is this a nice to have or is this a need? And how would people who are injuring themselves on footpaths every day feel about $100,000 going to what I think is a nice to have?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's, I mean, these things are challenging. I don't, I don't know that we want to, I mean, I just have a feeling that this is going to cost a heck of a lot more than we're preparing to allocate, and we haven't really got the analysis around it. I mean, I totally support it, that this area is very sensible to have a pathway through it. It just makes absolute sense. It actually makes transport sense too for, you know, cycling. It absolutely does.
I support it too. I'm just asking about the prioritisation.
Yeah, I know. But that's
There's a separate project for
that's the big
footpaths,
picture
Ellie.
stuff that we're going to do next year. So we're going right through the capital program. So, you know, the decisions that we make today are not set in stone, and also they are they're a statement of intent rather than a statement of what we're actually going to do.
That reads to me as a statement of action.
Yes, I know. I understand that, and the thing is $100,000 is not going to build that pathway. So I'm just thinking that we need a lot more work to be done before we actually make this decision. Yeah, but Yanni and then Pauline.
I actually think this is really important because if you think about what we're trying to do as a city, which is that active recreation, to get a sense of connection around our natural environment and our urban environment, and this is actually a really important link. There have been numerous issues around this area in the past. Just to give you one example, there's a whole new rest home that went in on Pelorus Road. There's no footpath. There's no footpath for a brand new rest home. So connecting these walkways is actually really important. And the other thing is that's really important, I think, to get on and get this work done, and I would support doing it earlier, is that Scooter being through Humphreys Drive fixing it and had no provision for any pathway. So every month or every 12 months or every year that goes past, we lose more opportunity to have a synergy of not spending as much to get the same outcome that we want. So I think it's critical that we get the planning for this area done. If there's a chance to spend a little bit of capital, because I know that there are those issues that were raised through that walk that we did around security, wildlife and access. But, you know, this is an area, if you think of Charlesworth wetlands as well, what a fantastic community asset. I think they just late last year, we planted the 100,000th tree that had been planted by the community in that reserve. That just shows you the power of communities being involved and taking what was a pretty desolate area into a real attraction. But there are issues with the wildlife in this area. It is a sensitive ecological site, and you do need to just weigh that up. But yeah, I strongly support doing this. This is a small amount of money for, I think, a huge gain in terms of that connectivity.
Tragically, it's not enough. Pauline.
I don't know if this is the right time, but I'm just looking at the Shirley Papanui Community Board submission, and you know there's 10,000 and 117,000 allocated for the Avenue Park playground renewal, and the board has suggested deferring this if the playground is still safe. So I'm wondering if we could just get some more information on that, and that therefore perhaps some of the funds could, maybe not even all of them, but some of the funds could come from that if the staff can give us some more information on that playground, because to me that playground seems fine. Do you go?
Yeah, I think what I'm signalling though is that if anyone around this table thinks that $100,000 is enough to put on budget for this project, then you're dreaming, absolutely dreaming.
No, what I meant is that this money should cover the pathway around this estuary edge in this part of the whole perimeter walkway, which circumvents the whole city. So that isn't, it's to make sure we get this beautiful part done as soon as possible, rather than delay.
With no perimeter fencing?
No, it would need the money. The main money really is around the fencing.
Yeah.
I already alluded clearly to some very keen community groups, and they put their money where their mouth is. They've done a lot already, including the Rotary. Okay, and in fact, developing the pathway is something where you get community leverage in, a bit like the time bank scheme. And the community are very keen to actually see this. There's lots of walking groups, and I think I'd be out there myself with my spade, forming the path. It's a pathway for people to walk on. That part should be straightforward. It's a fencing that will take the money, just around this perimeter edge.
Should we get more information on before we...
Because I think we will. So because what I'm hearing is almost like that we would put $100,000 on for the pathway if the community was able to fund the fence. You know, like, I mean, am I hearing a bit of a neighbourhood matching kind of approach to this? Because, I mean, there's no point putting money on the budget for the pathway if you can't use the pathway without a fence. Is that, have I got that wrong?
Well, it's sort of chicken and egg for that area, but I mean the community's funding
there's no chicken
would come through their voluntary work. That's the contribution they would make. It's
could I say, I mean, I don't know that we need to actually approve this now. I mean,
no, we don't. We'll get some further information.
Flag it for something that we want to advance.
We'll deal with it tomorrow, so that'll give time to gather all of the information that we need for it. So how are we going? We're after 3 o'clock, so we'll stop for afternoon tea and we'll come back at 3:30. Thank you.